So I want to talk you through this digestive system model that we have here. And we're going to start with the upper structure. So we've got oral cavity with the palate. We talked about this with the respiratory system, but bony palate anteriorly, soft palate posteriorly. This is the uvula. This is our little flap of tissue that's going to block food from going from the oral cavity back up into our nose, which we do know sometimes does occasionally happen. And food's going to travel down through the oral cavity, and we don't want it to go this way. This would be going anteriorly through the trachea and into lungs. So we do have the epiglottis, which is the structure here, and that's going to try to block food from traveling down into the trachea. So where we want our food to go is right down here, and this is going through our esophagus all the way down to the stomach. You can see stomach here. And so some interesting things here. There is a sphincter that is located connecting esophagus to stomach, and this would be the area of the gastroesophageal sphincter. Okay, that's what we see there. We can also see, because this is a cross section of the stomach, you can see those folds or rugae within the stomach walls, and so that allows for the stomach to expand as we eat. And then as we travel through the stomach, we come to another sphincter that's going to control flow going from stomach into the small intestines, and this sphincter right here is going to be the pyloric sphincter. Okay, as we enter our small intestines, the first part of the small intestines that we're going to enter is the duodenum, and so that's this part here, and it's going to continue. These are all our small intestines here, and they're basically framed by large intestines around the outside. But the small intestines, the duodenum is the first segment of it, and then we go to jejunum, and then we finally end with ileum, which is going to come out here, and then we're going to have a connection between small intestines and the beginning of the large intestines. Okay, so what we end up having here is another way to control movement going from small intestines into large intestines. We have a little valve that's going to be located here, and so it basically controls flow going from ileum into the large intestines. And this specific area of the large intestines, you kind of see this little, like, it's actually like a little pouch here. This is called the cecum. And so the name of this valve is called the Ileocecal Valve because it's connecting the ileum to the cecum. Okay? So Ileocecal Valve. And another notable structure in this particular area is this little guy right here. This is the appendix, and it hangs off the cecum. So that's where you're going to find your appendix if you still have one. So food is then going to travel from the cecum. It's going to travel first through the ascending large intestines or ascending colon. Then it's going to take a little trip across, and so we call this the transverse colon because it's more in the transverse plane. And then it's going to start descending. So we call this part the descending colon through here. And then we're going to end up with sigmoid colon, which is kind of this S-shaped curvature that you're going to see that's going to end up traveling into the anal canal. So this is what we see here. The last thing that's notable in this area is going to be the fact that we do have sphincters controlling flow going from the anal canal to the outside of the body. And so these two kind of areas of smooth muscle are going to be the internal anal sphincters. And then out here on the outside, you see external anal sphincters, and they're actually skeletal muscles. So these guys, the external anal sphincters, because they're skeletal, we have volitional control over them. The internal anal sphincters are smooth muscle and are not under volitional control. So there you go. There's your digestive tract.